Hey everybody, you kind of snuck up on us today. We're having to jump through a couple of hoops here. Hope you enjoy the show. Should be a good one. Just getting through the intro music there.
Aging Insight is dedicated to helping you navigate the challenges and blessing of growing
It's our
older.
Christmas
So call in
edition.
and ask your questions. The number is 903-793-1071.
Here we
Now
go.
here are your hosts, John Ross and Lisa Shoalmire.
Well, welcome to Aging Insight, everybody. This is your host, John Ross, here live in the studio on a very wet, very cold day of December. Kind of reminds me of Lisa and I's trip to Scotland a month or two ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah, a little not quite freezing, but drizzly and cold, and just generally the misery factor is pretty high at the outside right now. So.
And of course, we're live on Facebook as well as being live on the radio. So if you would like to check us out on the radio, you can on Facebook. Just go to the Ross and Shoalmire Facebook page, or you can check me out personally, John Ross on Facebook, and you can see what live radio. You know what people miss out when they don't watch us live on the radio is my collection of shirts.
Yeah.
Which our first comment, somebody likes my shirt.
Well, good.
Excellent. And a present from my very own co-host, Lisa Shoalmire.
It was, yes. I knew he would get it.
That's right. I did get it. And it is the season of gifting. And so, last year we did a whole show on some Christmas present ideas, and that was pretty good success. And we thought, well, we'll just kind of bring that idea back. It's just that time of year where families get together and hang out and all kinds of good stuff.
Well, and John, this is Aging Insight. So this is a program that we address questions and information aimed at seniors. And so gift giving for seniors can really be difficult.
Well, it can. I mean, a lot of times, I know, like with my own parents, for example, pretty much if they have something they want, they just go get it.
Right. So, so there's the factor that if they want something, they go get it. There's also the factor that they just don't want anything, or they just don't need a darn thing. And so at a gift giving time of year, it's that can make it difficult to actually identify a gift.
It can.
So today, there's always stuff, and you have to be watching that too, because a lot of seniors have downsized. They just don't need another knickknack.
That's right.
Typically, most seniors don't need a 6-quart crock pot. They're not cooking for 4 or 8 people anymore. So yeah, you have to kind of adjust your mindset.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it can be a little difficult, and particularly if you can think of things that are both good gifts but also somehow helpful.
Yeah, helpful, useful, something they actually use instead of just say thank you and toss it.
Yep, that's right. Now, along with this, as we kind of go through the program today, the other thing we were going to talk about a little bit is just some of the things to kind of keep a lookout for, kind of eyeball for. Our practice you can basically break our practice down into 2 halves. You've got the half of the folks that come in because they are trying to avoid potential problems that might come up in the future. They're basically pre-planning. And then we have the other half of the practice, which is dealing with problems that have already raised their ugly heads. And so it's kind of odd, as we've been doing this for a long time. I mean, geez, going up on 2 decades or so. And, you start to see some patterns. And, typically the period between Thanksgiving and Christmas is pretty slow as it comes to the pre-planning.
Right. People really aren't thinking about, estate planning for hopefully the far off future.
That's right.
That's not what they're talking about.
Yeah. You've got, people are, in fact, I bet just in the last week or two, I have had several visits with folks who have said something to the effect of, well, after the first of the year, we want to come in and talk to you about our stuff.
Right.
and so yeah, you don't see a lot of pre-planning, but the one thing you do see a lot of is people are, maybe they live out of town, they're coming in for Thanksgiving, they're coming in for Christmas, they're visiting with mom or dad or both, and they're recognizing some changes that give them some concern.
Right. And, in fact, John, just last week, I was meeting with a young man. He's a grandson, and he had lost his mom some time ago. So he is he's kind of that family member for his grandmother. And he went to visit her for Thanksgiving. And that's why he was in our office. He said, wow, I knew she was having some challenges, but until I spent a couple of days with her over at Thanksgiving, I had no idea how extreme those challenges had gotten. And he actually said at first when he arrived at the house, and of course he had called and told her he was coming, when he arrived at the house and knocked on the door, she opened the door and asked who he was.
Right.
And so we're definitely in a challenge situation there, but nothing, there's a phone call, a 10 or 15-minute phone call, but until you're like in the home and really spending hours and hours with a visit, sometimes you just don't catch on to what's going on.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So we want to point out some of that as well along the way. But for the most part, it's Christmas time. We're going to try to talk about some good stuff.
Yeah.
So and the first thing that I talking about how some of these things kind of blend together. Went out and did a home visit to somebody, and we have occasionally folks that just can't quite get out. And so I went out to go meet some folks at their home, and this was actually a second appointment, and we had prepared some powers of attorney and things like that for them. And of course, many of these things need witnesses and notaries.
Yes.
And one of the dumb things about the notary rules.
I hear a soapbox. I hear you pulling out your soapbox.
Yeah, here comes the soapbox.
Okay.
One of the dumb things about the notary rules is that you can only be a notary in the state in which you reside. So for somebody in Texarkana, I live in Texas. And because I live in Texas, I can be a Texas notary and I can notarize documents for people in Texas.
Right.
But there's no way for me to get an Arkansas notary.
Even though you have an Arkansas law license.
Even though I have an Arkansas law license. So yeah, I can do estate planning for somebody in Arkansas, but if I have to go visit with them at their home, in Arkansas, I cannot notarize the documents that I prepared with an Arkansas law license. This doesn't make any sense at all. But all this to say, so I've gone out, I visited with these folks. We went over the documents, and they had a friend who was an insurance agent very close by, and so once we kind of went over the documents, it was time to load up in the car and drive down the road to the local insurance agent office, who was going to be perfectly willing to notarize the documents once we got there. But we had to get there, right? And I'm dealing with a person who's well into their 80s, and transitioning into and out of a car, not easy.
Nope.
When you have limited mobility, that can be, and I mean, this person gets around just fine, but they're a little slow. They've slowed down a little bit, but that's just an awkward motion. I know when I had my shoulder surgery, Lisa, tried to drive me around in her little race car, and it sits about 6 inches off the ground. And I decided, no, we weren't taking that car any longer.
Yeah. So.
And so anyway, I was actually looking, and one of the products that we came across, it's a little bar, and of course we've got it live on the Facebook, so you can actually see it. And if you go to the Ross and Shoalmire Facebook page, there's links to all of these products. But so this is a little bar. Now think about a handle about, say, 6 inches long, kind of like a motorcycle grip handle, right?
Okay.
And at the end of it, at kind of a right angle, is a little metal stem that comes off of it.
Right.
All right. Now, when you open your car door, where the car door connects to the frame of the car, there's usually a little U-shape.
Yeah, there's like a square U-shaped.
Yeah, a little U-shaped lock there, and that's where it like connects in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically, with this bar, you just stick that little metal piece into that little U-shaped hole right there, and you have created a handle that sticks out of the car that the person can use to help lift themselves up out of the car.
So you can kind of plug that metal stem on the handle into that U shape that's part of the frame of the car, and now that senior can grip that handle, put some weight on that to, especially if they've got some knee or hip issues. Now they can use the armrest of the door on the one hand, and then this handle that you've been able to just plug in to the door frame to push themselves out of the car.
Yeah, no, and this is just a very simple, easy concept. One that I just would not have ever really thought of, but somebody clearly had tried to, they had this issue.
Right.
And they're probably, just one of those little tinkerer types, if I were guessing, right?
Yeah.
This is the person that just sees a problem and wants to fix it. And they came up with this great little, and it's not, I mean, we're talking, I think $20 or something like that. I don't know. Again, we've got links on the Ross and Shoalmire page where you can buy these if you want, and they're all on Amazon. Especially again for people who can't get out.
Right.
Amazon, great way to get your products delivered. And they're not a sponsor, so don't.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, they're not a sponsor.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, no, it is handy because a lot of times, quality of life, is all about the little things, John. I mean, big vacations and fancy dinners are really nice, but quality of life is getting through your day without struggles.
That's exactly right.
And so here. Our seniors, they joke all the time when I'm visiting with a senior client. And I said, well, we'll have your documents ready and we'll look at a date next week that you could come back to the office, what's your schedule look like? And many times the seniors will joke with me and say, well, my social life consists of going to doctor's visits. So,
right.
So let me check that. And then, unlike the house call that you made here with this client, John, lots of professionals and all don't make those kind of house calls, and you just have to get out from time to time. And so if you've got some limitations, then a little handle like this that just makes it a bit easier. I mean, there's nothing like that kind of that moment of anxiety when that senior knows, oh, I've got to push myself and get out of this car, and my knees hurt and all that. Just relieving that and making it a little easier. It's worth $20.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And, just as you were sitting here talking about it, Lisa, I kind of was thinking, maybe you are that senior, right? Maybe you're listening to the show today and you're thinking, geez, I'm that person. It'd be great if somebody got me this, but I still continue to drive.
Mm-hmm.
I can operate the vehicle just fine. It's getting in and out of it where I'm having some difficulty. Well, this is just a thing that you stick right there in that little slot. So
yeah, you could put it in the in your door. They have the pockets on your door. Right. Typically, so you could just stick it down in there, and then as you get somewhere, get out of the car.
Yeah, you open the door, you grab your little handle, you jam it in that little spot, you use that as your lever to get yourself out, and then just pull the hammer out, stick it in your purse and pocket, or throw it back in the door frame, and off you go.
Yeah.
So pretty cool little tool. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna come back, and we're gonna keep going with all of our little handy dandy Christmas ideas. So stick around. We'll be right back.
And for John or Lisa, call 903-793.
All right. Of course, we're still live on Facebook.
Yes.
I do actually. I really do. I think I'm going to actually order one of these. In fact, I may order a couple of them.
Just have them around the office.
And just have them around at the office, because that seems like a pretty cool deal. Although I do know somebody in particular that I think could probably use one.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's a pretty cool little deal. And not, I forgot how much. What are we talking? $26 there on, $26 on the Amazon. So not a small out-of-pocket expense. So anyway, oh man, shoulder's killing me.
It must be the weather, the bad weather kind of tells you that your shoulder,
That's what I'm gonna go with.
Yeah.
It's the shoulder, it's the weather. Just those aches and pains. You try to go to the gym, try to stay healthy, and all you do is just injure yourself.
So we're doing it.
Maybe.
Either that or it's just wearing out.
It could be just wear and tear. Be a little water. Gotta have the commercial breaks for the radio listeners. So
yeah, we did have a nice Christmas open house at the office, and one of my clients, a lot of seniors just don't cook anymore.
That's true.
Anyway, she brought us a nice Tupperware full of chocolate dipped items. There was Ritz peanut butter crackers, there were pretzel sticks, just all kinds of things dipped in chocolate.
Right.
And what the client told me was, I really don't bake anymore, but I dip real well. So, but I thought, there you go, yeah.
All right, looks like we got about one more minute until we're back on the radio. And people, we've been doing this for how long? 6 years, 5 years, 6 years?
Yeah.
And everybody I know
in the
family still tries to call me at noon.
Yeah.
I just can't quite figure that out. So I will text them and tell them I'm on the radio. Just like every Saturday at noon. It's just hard to get it through people's minds.
Boy, you're on your soapbox.
I am. I've got a lot of soapboxing today. I don't know. I'll find some more stuff to soapbox about within the next 45 minutes, I bet. We'll see. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Have a question? Phone 903-793-1071. Now back to Aging Insight with John and Lisa.
Welcome back, everyone, to Aging Insight. This is Lisa Shoalmire. I'm here live in the studio with John Ross, and we're kind of making our list and checking it twice today. Thinking
we have not been watching you while you're sleeping.
Well, unless you have a webcam.
No,
just picking.
Just joking.
So today we're talking about some gifts for seniors, and John talked about the cool, and he's just really impressed with the cool, easy handle deal. But one of the other items that I really liked is, John, there is something called a weighted blanket.
Yes.
And so it's a blanket.
Yeah, it's a blanket
with some weights to where it puts some pressure, a little bit of pressure on your skin.
Yeah, and the neat thing about the weighted blanket, when you say weighted, I mean we're talking about about a 20-pound blanket.
Yeah.
So a full-size blanket, but one that it's got enough density in it that it's rolled up to about 20 pounds.
And some of our listeners may be thinking, what in the world? A weighted blanket. But, you may be the kind of person that, you sleep best when there's a certain amount of blanket on top of you. And you go to a hotel and you don't sleep as well because the comforter or whatever they have isn't the same weight as what you have at home. That's kind of what I'm talking about. But John, a step further is that these weighted blankets have been shown to really help people with anxiety.
That's right.
A dementia or Alzheimer's patient that they are more calm with the weighted blanket. during naps and sleeping. So there's actually some science behind the weighted blanket deal.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, they of course they speculate on what the background behind all of that science is, but I think they kind of say it goes back to that just kind of childhood security. Just that kind of being swaddled, like
a little bit of the swaddling thing, but you feel safer. And not quite as exposed.
Right.
But they've been studying the weighted blankets for dementia and Alzheimer's patients, also just for people who have some general anxiety issues. So I'm not, someone doesn't have to have dementia or to maybe benefit from it. And so we have a link to some weighted blankets that they have available on Amazon. But John, I was going through Target the other day, and it has become that mainstream. They were selling weighted blankets at Target.
Yeah. So
also not a sponsor.
Right. Also not a sponsor. And so, yeah, these things are out there. And so, yeah, if you think about it, maybe you do have somebody that has Alzheimer's. One of the big things with Alzheimer's is the fact that it seems to get worse in the afternoons or the evenings. They often call this sundowners syndrome. And it often can be a period of anxiety and stress. And it's stressful for that person, but it's also stressful for their families and caregivers. One great way to kind of manage Alzheimer's disease is by setting up some very strict routines, doing things at the same time every day. And, this could be a great piece to add into that routine. If you know that around 5 or 6 o'clock, maybe, or 7 o'clock in the evening, that a lot of times you start seeing the anxiety in that person,
that agitation.
Maybe creating the routine of, let's sit down in the lazy boy, let's get out the big heavy blanket, let's curl up, let's watch some news or
Wheel of Fortune
or whatever it is that you watch. But yeah, you start creating that routine, and that weighted blanket really can lower that anxiety. I guess same thing. Maybe if you've got somebody that just doesn't like storms or something.
Yeah. No, like I say, they've really been studying the idea of it with all kinds of people that have some anxiety issues, and seems to help. But why not give it a try? Especially if you're dealing with someone with sundowners or that has anxiety and gets agitated, give it a try. It's non-medicinal, something that's
right.
Easy
better
to have
than
around.
Drugs.
That's right.
Yeah, so give it a shot. All right, we're going to take a break while you're listening to the news. If you want to, get on the Facebook and check us out live so you can get the links to this, or just go to the Ross and Shoalmire Facebook, Ross and Shoalmire website. That's RossandShoalmire.com. So that's Ross and Shoalmire, and we have our 2018 Christmas gift guide up on the website. Just check that out. In the meantime, as we're taking our break, we'll be coming back to you with a couple of more ideas along the way.
We got a few.
Yeah, we got a few. We got lots of ideas. That's one thing Lisa and I are good at, is coming up with ideas.
So, but yeah, it's a good time we want to do the show so you can get your gifts bought in time for Christmas. So we will see you after the break.
All right, and we are breaking again. So, the one that we didn't put up on the list, that I actually meant to, but just didn't, was the hidden clock camera.
Oh yeah, the kind of like the nanny cam, granny cam.
Yeah, the granny cam, the hidden clock camera. We actually had done there's a whole previous episode on this show that we talked about the granny cam, and whether or not you're permitted to hide that in a nursing home.
Yes.
And so you can, if you're on Facebook, you can go through our videos, and you should be able to find that video. It does have links to those cameras, but that was all based on an Oklahoma case that said that, yep, you can do it. And since that Oklahoma case, and now you can do it in Oklahoma, Texas has passed laws that say, yes, you can have those hidden cameras in a Texas nursing home. Arkansas, not so much.
Yeah, Arkansas, not yet.
One of the many reasons why people often choose to go onto the Texas side. Now, there are some reasons to go on the Arkansas side. They're better at excluding multi-owned real estate than Texas.
True.
So if you got that big family compound land out there,
which a lot of folks on the Arkansas side do.
They do, and it's got combined ownership, where maybe 5 siblings all have an undivided 1/5 interest. That generally is not going to count against you for Medicaid purposes on the Arkansas side. It can be possible to exclude it on the Texas side, but it's a little bit. You got to actually kind of crawl through them a little bit, and make some arguments.
Yeah. So there's, but as far as the granny cam, go back, watch the episode if you're interested. But it's amazing the technology and the kind of products that are out there
for nothing. I mean, for
very
cheap.
Yeah, very inexpensive. And John, it seems like 15, 20 years ago here in Texarkana, we actually had a quote spy shop.
We did actually. Yeah, no, we had a spy shop.
We had a spy shop that had like GPS locators you could put on vehicles and hidden camera type stuff. And of course, it was expensive. It wasn't.
Oh yeah, super expensive.
But now it's just.
And that's of course why spy shop would be out of business because. Right. Other than if it was maybe like a little kitschy place in a big mall or something, but frankly, the cost of this stuff and the availability from places like Amazon, it's just pushed the cost down. When you can buy direct from China,
right?
It's cheap.
Yeah. So there's lots of choices out there when you start getting into. We just happen to identify like a clock that looks just like a clock.
That's right.
And you hook it up in the Wi-Fi, or it can record video. The technology is so good now. Some of the items will only record when they detect sound or movement.
Yep.
So that way you're not burning your battery or burning your memory. When the room is empty. So
well, and I know the one that we showed also had dual night vision. Mm-hmm. So it would also record in a dark room. It would just automatically switch over to night vision recording.
So
although I did see a funny meme earlier today as I was scrolling the internet, and it was showing the lander that's landed on Mars here just in the last few days. And it's sent back pictures, and there's just these beautifully crisp images of the Martian landscape. And then below that, they showed, the bank surveillance camera with the guy running out. And it's like grainy, and you can barely even tell if it's a man or woman. That's. And they're like, yeah. Well, so why is it that we've got perfectly crisp, clear cameras? Sitting on Mars, but no bank.
No, not at the ATM.
Yeah, but no bank can put a decent camera on an ATM machine. But the quality is pretty good now. All right, we got about 15 seconds, and then we're back on. And 5 seconds.
All right.
2, 1, here we go.
Have a question? Phone 903-793-1071. Now back to Aging Insight with John and Lisa.
Welcome back to Aging Insight, everybody. This is your host, John Ross, here live in the studio and live on Facebook. You're listening to the best show to find out about Christmas ideas for seniors.
The best and only.
The best and only.
But hey, I'll take the best.
That's right. And that's what we're talking about today, just some Christmas gift ideas for you out there. So far, we've covered it's called the Stander Handy Bar. But it's just a little bar to help you get in and out of a vehicle. Requires no installation or anything. It's just basically a curved chunk of metal with a handle on it. That you can use to get in and out of the car. And then we also talked about the benefits of weighted blankets. Now, for you who are just listening on the radio, you missed our conversation over the break about the nanny cams.
Right, the nanny cams, which have, clocks with some hidden cameras in it, that if your loved one is receiving assistance through sitters, or maybe living at assisted living or a skilled nursing facility, some families wanting to be able to keep good tabs for protection of their loved one, have used some of these hidden cameras, which you are permitted to do in Oklahoma and Texas, although there are some rules about using them. So don't just,
don't just barrel off on it.
Call us.
Give us a call. We can tell you how to do it, or you can go to the Ross and Shoalmire Facebook, scroll back through the videos there, and if you'll watch the episode we did on nanny cams, we talk about all the rules on that. Now, speaking of cameras, though, you talk about doing home visits. We mentioned that earlier with the little handy bar. Often, the reason I'm doing those home visits is because, the folks just really can't get out. Mobility is an issue. And I know oftentimes, I'm knocking on the door, and it may be a significant period of time. I know they're home because they're expecting me.
Right.
But just the process of getting up and getting to the front door can be kind of a bear.
Right. So and these days, once again, some technology is out there that makes it safer and more convenient for a senior to, they can look out the door through a camera.
That's right.
And they can even speak to the person at the doorstep. So, for instance, John, there's a doorbell item that we've put on our list that once installed, you can check out the camera from anywhere. And so if someone's standing at your front doorstep, you can look to see who it is before you get out of the chair, or frankly, even if you're away from the house. And also you can speak to them. So if you're a senior who struggles to get up and down, then if you can have the monitor where you can see who's at the door, then you can speak and say, "Oh, come on in, the door's open," or, and that way you don't have to struggle to get up and down.
Well, and you don't have to go through all of that effort to find out that it's somebody who would like to sell you a vacuum cleaner.
Or yes, I guess in our neighborhood the other day, there was somebody going around selling some kind of cleaning solution, some kind of spray liquid cleaning solution, which,
Although ironically, I think somebody else in our neighborhood was going around selling video doorbells. I think they were actually a legitimate local company that was just offering them around the neighborhood. But yeah, and the thing is for the most part, even the folks that are selling, the home cleaners or the fact, what is the big vacuum cleaner sales?
Rainbow.
It's not Rainbow, is it?
Yeah.
No, the super. It's got a name. It's not Rainbow.
Okay, I don't know.
Anyway, whatever it is, I just remember they used to come all the time, and it was always young kids, and they would want to test it out and they'd offer to clean one room for free, and it was pretty much the hard sell or whatever. And a lot of times the hard sell works on people, particularly people who are just frankly too nice to say no.
Right. So particularly our seniors, so you just don't need that. You just don't need that coming in.
That was the whole crux of Nancy Reagan's Just Hang Up campaign, was basically that generation, the Reagan generation, they were always taught to be very nice, be very polite. And so when people would call, and often trying to scam them or sell them things they didn't need, the idea of just hanging up was abhorrent because that just went against the cultural norm.
Right. So even after they said no, and of course the hard sell continues, and that senior was not used to just clicking off.
That's right. But now, if you've got one of these cameras set up at your front door, and somebody buzzes, you'll know as soon as they walk up, because it'll buzz the phone. You can look at your phone, you can see who's out there, and if it's not somebody you don't even have to answer. That
Right.
saves you the trouble. You can just pretend like you ain't home.
That's right. So despite the Dotson dog yapping at the front door, which is a pretty effective doorbell as well. But yeah, these video doorbells they've become very ubiquitous, I guess you'd say. They've become very prevalent. I've seen them at Sam's and other, Best Buy and of course Amazon. But just a great tool to keep you safe, so that once you're inside, most of our seniors, they keep their doors locked, and if someone rings your bell or comes up on your stoop, that notifies you, and you can decide whether or not to even bother yourself to open the door.
And and speaking of Amazon and things like that, so much now there you see so many stories of the package theft,
Right.
where the mail service just drops the package off on the front door, rings the doorbell, and turns around and walks away. Well, one, if you've got these kind of cameras, you'll be notified that there's a package there, so it doesn't just sit out the whole time. I know we don't ever hardly get packages sent to the home, and we always get them to the office. And so when somebody does send something to the house, a lot of times, we don't go in the front door, and it could just sit out there.
Right.
And we wouldn't even necessarily know it, but one of these sort of cameras kind of solves that. So it can be a kind of a crime deterrent. Lots of good things. So check those out. They're pretty easy to set up if you got a little bit of technology.
It's going to cost you about $100.
Yeah, they're a little pricier, but again, it's not that big a deal, and again, relatively easy to set up. So, on the same note of safety. Visited with a client here just in the last week or two, and it was a Sunday, and every Sunday their mother living at home, still independent, still kind of doing her thing, didn't get out much, but the one place she got out was church on Sunday.
Okay.
That's no matter what, she got out for church on Sunday, and the kids lived they didn't live in the same town. But they were still, it was a small town, so everybody knows everybody and that sort of thing. And the kids got a phone call from somebody at the church saying, "Hey, we're just checking to see if your mom was feeling okay. She didn't make it to church today."
Which is highly unusual.
Highly unusual. And of course, they called, and mom didn't answer. So they drove over and went to mom's house, only to find her laying on the floor, stuck, unable to get up, and had apparently been there for a long time and was in quite a bit of pain. Now, everybody has seen the emergency bracelets and the emergency necklaces and stuff like that, but a lot of times those falls are preventable in the first place by just taking a few basic steps. And I think what we'll do is we'll take a break real quick. When we'll come back, we'll talk about some of those steps and a couple of little Christmas ideas that you can get to maybe help prevent some of those falling issues. So stick around. We'll be right back. Oh, ears get sweaty with those things on. I almost think if we weren't going to sell our house pretty soon, I'd say we need to get one of those little doorbell dillies.
Well, I don't know how soon that's going to be, so.
I don't know. Soon enough. Hey, speaking of which, if anybody wants a German Shepherd, let us know.
Yes, that's it.
We have a stray German Shepherd that
has adopted us.
That's hanging about, and nice enough dog. It does not like other dogs.
Yeah.
So if you'd like German Shepherds, this is a good one. It's got a floppy ear. Very cute. Very nice. Doesn't like other dogs.
Yeah.
Does enjoy shoes, as we have found.
Yes, does like shoes and anything else. It's still very puppy.
It's a puppy. It's a big puppy.
Yeah.
But
she's probably close to a year old, maybe.
Yeah, but definitely a puppy. Oh man. So what are we going to eat?
I don't know yet. I don't know. But
Lisa's a little hangry today.
Yeah,
she didn't eat breakfast.
But during the yeah, I had to get up. I had to go conduct the Texarkana Symphony Orchestra this morning. And there is photographic evidence. I don't have it yet.
Oh, and was the whole orchestra there today?
Yes, yes.
Wow. Well, speaking of which, I guess that we ought to plug that.
Yeah.
I mean, tomorrow is the Christmas
At the Perot. Yes.
Christmas at the Perot with Texarkana Symphony Orchestra. Donations
Still accepted.
still accepted. If you would like to see Lisa, get up there with her baton and not like twirly baton, but little conductor baton.
Which I did forget my baton this morning.
Mm.
So I had to just use the hands, but they seem to get it. They're professionals. I am not.
Yeah.
So,
I think you're really unnecessary up there.
I'm pretty much,
they're
going to take care of it. But that was fun. But yeah, now I have a new fun fact. When somebody says, something unique about you that, no one else knows, I can now throw on there, I have conducted a symphony orchestra.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Speaking, we're doing a little thing for a Christmas party, and that was one of the things something you don't know, that you acted as a dental assistant.
Oh, that's true.
Because when the dentist mentioned that to me the other day, I did not know that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I kind of was a informal dental assistant for a clinic that served underprivileged kids.
Yes, look at you and all your volunteer activities. All right, well, we got another 5 seconds and we're back online. So here we go.
Have a question? Phone 903-793-1071. Now back to Aging Insight with John and Lisa.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to our final segment of today's Aging Insight. And we've just been kind of throwing around some ideas for Christmas gifts for seniors to basically improve quality of life.
That's right.
Now, I bet there's a senior out there saying, a bottle of bourbon would improve quality of life.
Oh, you know what? That reminds me.
Of course.
There was a story this morning. 101-year-old Army veteran or Air Force veteran. Of course, if he was 101, it probably would have been Army Air Corps. So
right, Army Air Corps.
Essentially the same thing, I guess. But 101, when asked the secret
to long life.
Yeah, Coors Light was his answer. Some silver bullets.
Well, eastbound and down, I guess.
I guess so. But yeah, no, it was kind of a funny story. But yeah, he drinks a Coors Light every day.
Yeah, I saw that every day at 4:00. It's like his tea time, except for it's beer 30 time.
It's beer 30. And,
but anyway, so we've been talking about some gifts that would increase quality of life. And John, before the break, you were talking about a client that ended up with a parent who had fallen. And again, technology is so cheap these days. But one thing that we like is there's some motion sensing night lights.
Yeah.
That you can pretty much stick anywhere.
Yep.
And
little, basically little sticky back or whatever, and
little footpath lights. So if things get in the dark, that way we're not tripping over anything. A lot of times we assume we know the pathway from maybe our bedside to the restroom, but sometimes you misjudge, stump your toe, fall down. So that might have happened. Some little motion detecting night lights.
But yeah, a 3-pack of these on Amazon, $20. You can get a 6-pack of them for about $40.
Just stick them all around, and that way they're not annoying you. And if you're one of those people that wants a totally dark sleeping area, but that way, as soon as you swing those legs over the bed or whatever, they start lighting up for you.
That's right, and they only light up. They're motion activated, so they only light up when you're getting up in that middle of the night to make that trip down the hall for a spoonful of peanut butter or whatever it is that you do, Lisa.
Yes. Well.
But that way you're kind of avoiding some of those tripping hazards. You're illuminating the pathway, and again, the technology with LEDs, they use so little power now.
And they're bright.
that they're very bright. And so like one of these little lights get you 80 hours of life off of a set of batteries, and they're only coming on when you walk past them.
Yeah.
And then only at night. So yeah, it's not like you're using them very often, but could really be a lifesaver on that situation. And again, what's the number one reason people land in a nursing home?
Yeah.
It's falls.
And that, and John, that kind of goes back to several of the gifts we've talked about. I mean, your handle,
right, the handle
for the
getting out of the car
is also a way to prevent falls, because somebody, who's really making that effort to get out of the car, sometimes that hip or that knee will give way, and you've got to fall. So we definitely want to prevent those. So, all right.
Yeah, so pretty good. And on that, as far as trying to stay independent and stay mobile, one of the other things that we looked at was a little grabby handle thing.
Yeah, one of those grabby handles that extends your arm. So if you've got something, that box of cereal at the top of the pantry or something, that you can, because a lot of times seniors, as they get a little bit older, that shoulder motion, you lose some range of motion.
Yeah.
So one of the grabby handles are great for reaching. Also great for bopping the head of your grandchild.
Yeah, or pinching them.
Pinching the arm.
That's right.
That way you don't have to get up out of the recliner to get little Timmy to stop pestering the dog.
Yeah, lots of potential ideas, and again, can be a great thing. Most people don't have the time, effort, or particularly money to remodel something like a kitchen, to bring counter levels down. When something happens, like maybe you're wheelchair bound. If you're it's one thing to have limited shoulder mobility, and it's difficult to reach up into a pantry. It's another thing if you're if you're
sitting position.
Yeah, if you're completely wheelchair bound,
yeah,
those cabinets up there have become basically unreachable unless you've got some way to reach up there and grab them. So whether you're talking about a senior or maybe somebody with limited mobility, they're confined to a wheelchair or something, then something as simple as a grab bar like that could really be, or maybe just for your short friend.
Yeah, there you go. For your short friend.
Yeah,
that's right.
So yeah, and I've got some short friends, so maybe that's what I'll get them.
Yeah. Well, and so we kind of wanted to, on the last thing we'll cover today is a really cool technology gizmo from Amazon. It's actually manufactured an Amazon branded item. It is the Amazon. Is it the Show?
Yeah,
John?
It's the Echo Show.
Okay, so it's the Echo Show. So you remember back in the days when science fiction, you were reading your comic books or whatever, and there was those video telephones.
Right.
And you thought, wow, that would be really cool. Well, Amazon will do that. So they have these screens, and they have it's called the Echo Show, where not only can you make video telephone calls, so you can actually eyeball your family member if they have one and you have one. And I believe all that occurs over internet connection.
It does. Yep.
So, but also on that Echo Show, the senior can ask. It can get a weather forecast. It can play a television show. It could play music.
Yeah, if you connect it to Hulu, you can watch live television. If you can watch movies on Amazon Prime. You can make phone calls, and you can connect it to the doorbell that we talked about a second ago.
Yeah. So that way you have a bigger screen to look at, and I know there's a lot of people that are a little wary of all the technology and the companies and all that are involved in all of that. But I just think this thing, particularly for our seniors, that is one of the biggest issues is sometimes just eyeballing somebody, and frankly, the socialization for seniors, that is, loneliness and is a big health issue for seniors. And so, to be able to eyeball somebody face to face through that device and have that conversation and show the grandchild on the screen, and that's just awesome.
Well, and that kind of leads me up to, the one present that almost every senior wants more than just about anything,
and just more than stuff.
And it's the one thing you cannot buy on Amazon, and that's your time.
Yeah, no, I mean, time, we're all, younger people, we think we're so busy. But the time to visit with that senior, the time to do some tasks, to get out there and clean out that hall closet, or, help organize that carport or garage area. Sometimes just some task, it makes that senior feel better about being in their home. And, my experience, John, is that you do some things for a senior. A lot of times there's a besides the visit, there's a nice snack or meal involved, and they just show their love by
in whatever way they can.
Yeah.
And particularly, for those grandchildren and great grandchildren who really are, they've moved off, they're in college, they have young families. The only time they're really around is at the holidays. It really is a good opportunity to give them the gift of your time. It helps with the loneliness. It gives them something to talk about.
There's some connection,
That's right. So yeah, the gift of time really is probably the most important thing you can do out there. But hey, bring a little present along with you.
Hey, bring a present that if it needs a Wi-Fi connection,
yeah, guess who's going to set that up?
That's right.
Yeah, and so yeah, if you're the senior and you want to stay at home, and I haven't met one that says, nope, I can't wait till the day I get to go to a nursing home. Haven't met that one yet. And so if you want to stay at the home, what are you doing to help yourself stay there, right? Make yourself a Christmas list. Say, hey, here, guys, here's what I want. The kids are struggling to try to figure out what to get you.
They would love it if you gave them a list.
Yeah, and so, hey, I would like you to get me a video doorbell and an Amazon Alexa show, and connect those two to the Wi-Fi at the house. Put in some lights down the hall that are motion activated. Get me a little handle so I can get in and out of the car. And you're always cold anyway, so get you the big heated blanket and our big weighted blanket and cuddle up there on the couch.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's why we put all of our little things together. Again, you can go to the Ross and Shoalmire website. It's rossandshoalmire.com. Go under there's a section where it has, I don't even remember what we call it, resources.
Resources.
These
are resources.
Yeah, under the resources is their Christmas list. It's also on our Facebook page. And of course, there's, and the link is on the Facebook Live here, so you can check it out there as well. Hope you enjoyed the show. I think we'll be back next week. So
I think so too.
I don't see any reason why we won't. So absent zombie apocalypse, John and Lisa will be back here next week. So hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you then.
Bye-bye.
And goodbye to all of our Facebook Live friends as well. Maybe.